Hey, this is Shoot First, Questions Later, an informative and mildly entertaining photography podcast with a raw Aussie flavour. My name's Cameron, and here with me is William.
Hello, Cameron.
Hey.
And everyone who's listening.
Thanks for listening. We've had some pretty cool little feedback so far on the podcast from a few people here and there. Pretty stoked.
Yeah, definitely stoked for everyone. Yeah, giving feedback and subscribing and tuning in. So thank you.
Yeah, and hopefully you keep tuning in because we've got some pretty cool ideas coming up. We'd like to have a guest on soon.
Do we? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, we definitely do. We've got some big plans for this podcast. So we're just gonna drop this now just to bait you guys to keep listening, and yeah, we'll see where it leads. No, we do. We've got some big plans. We've got some interview ideas and some cool segment ideas coming up. But for now, we're here again, episode 3.
About shooting first.
Yeah, shoot first. So, what about you, Camster? You want to kick it off, mate? What's been happening this week?
Righto. Well, first of all, we start off talking about what we've taken photos of in the last week. Yeah. So before we get into the questions, I'd like to talk about making sure we've been taking photos. So this week, I honestly can't remember what I've taken photos.
What?
There's been photos, but I mean, nothing's really jumped out at me. It's been a bit of a mild week, except for like a pretty cool sunset tonight.
Yeah, a lot of rain here the past week. A lot of rain.
Yeah, which is
still
actually
good, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like really busy, kind of struggling to take photos every day. There's been a couple times where
didn't we cover this in a previous episode about the inspiration and getting out there?
That's it. I've been struggling. So there's been, I think twice I was like lying in bed at night
and just crying yourself to sleep.
Yeah, well, I've been like ready to go. I've been ready to go to sleep, and I've realised I haven't taken a photo.
Yeah, because you're doing the 365 challenge as we've discussed. Yeah,
I've hopped
and
out of
you've
bed.
Jumped out and just snapped something.
Yeah, tried to be like really arty or something.
And how did it come out? Come on, what did you do for one of them? We need an example.
All right, so it was probably
keep it G-rated.
It was probably 11 o'clock, and yeah, I took like a I decided not to turn any lights on. There's like a tiny bit of like street light coming through the window or something. So I just like used that like light coming through the blinds and like took a like photo with a silhouetted plant, of course. And
the backup plan.
Yeah, plants are the backup. And
now,
I don't know. It's like it's not good, but it does have a mood, which is pretty much.
At the end of the day, it's going to tell a story that you're going to remember anyway. When you look back on the 365, you're going to remember this.
I struggled.
Yeah, you struggled to do the 365.
Yeah, so that's cool. But that's my thing. Yeah.
As we kind of said on another episode, there's the idea, which is true, that the 365 does put a lot of pressure on you, and it cannot be fun. But realistically, like that I'm sure that wasn't the end of the world for you, and you know, it's still
I haven't like officially laid out sort of what I want to achieve each day, but in my head, if I've taken a photo that has a certain mood to it, I don't know why I'm doing mood, but then I'm definitely cool. So it's
like,
just like
when you were in bed and you went, I haven't taken a shot, you probably weren't like, and you dragged yourself out.
I was just more like, let's get this done.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
And I really think that's because you're not putting it on Instagram, actually.
I fully 100%.
Which is interesting. That's a psychological thing there. It says a lot about Instagram and how we everyone holds it to this high regard.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, we could go on about that for a while. We should, mental note, talk about that one day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What about yourself?
Well, big week. So I had my Sapphire Coast workshop over the weekend.
Very jealous.
Yeah, really fun down there. Weather was hit and miss, but some really nice moments down at the Horsehead Rock, Camel Rock. Obviously, that wasn't really for me to take photos. That was for the participants on the workshop. They all had a great time. But as far as me personally, took some photos of Judah, as per usual, being home. That's the main subject I like to photograph. My son. It's some really moody moments, as I mentioned, with the rain. However, today was probably the highlight, having dinner at my in-laws And this has happened twice now at their place over the last month. But basically, come 20 minutes before sunset, there was something brewing and another rainbow, basically. Something brewing after the burritos we had. But yeah, basically, I could see something big was about to happen, so I more or less bailed on the family dinner, and it's all on my... I threw it up on the Snapchat and Instagram. I happen to just be filming a day in the life today as well, so more or less hooned it, Cam. I had to go home, get my camera. The rainbow was beaming the entire drive home, which is about 10 minutes. It felt like 10 hours. And by the time I got relatively close to the beach, it faded. And then as I parked the car, it came back out. The rainbow came out one last time, right on sunset. So just ran down handheld and just kind of tried to get a little bit artistic, doing some slow shutter stuff handheld with the water. And there was a few people swimming, so frame those people underneath the rainbow in the water. Nothing groundbreaking, to be honest, but it was just so fun. I just love those fleeting, elusive moments.
Yeah.
When the light is that special and rare. It's just fun.
What was sort of going through your mind when you ran down to the beach to get those shots? What kind of did you have a photo? In
I've been thinking about this all for a month now because we've had so much rain lately. Rainbows have been popping up left, right, and centre, and a lot of the time there's very little warning. We can't see the western horizon here very good, so it's hard to tell if a rainbow will break through at the last minute or not on these overcast days. So I keep thinking what type of shot I'd go for, and really didn't want to do anything too standard. So more or less thinking slow shutter, semi-abstract type work. The problem with doing that is you blur the rainbow too much. So I was doing some handheld motion panning for the water. Obviously the rainbow gets too blurred out. So I started getting quite close to waves, trying to get those breaking at a quarter of a second. Yeah, so just mixing it up a little bit. I had a few ideas in mind, but once you get in the moment, it was raining as well. It's kind of chaotic, but...
Yeah, I noticed, I've seen these photos on the back of your camera here, and I noticed that a lot of it was leaning towards the darker side of the exposure. What was your thoughts behind that? You just got that vibe from the evening?
Two reasons. Definitely it's dark, obviously, around that time, especially in a stormy afternoon. So being handheld, the light, I can only go so slow on the shutter speed. So my only option of getting light in is opening the aperture up and then boosting the ISO. I always want to boost the ISO as a last resort. So, I purposely underexposed a little bit just to avoid putting the ISO too high. But there was also just that atmosphere where the light that was available was purely on the whites in the water, on the people in the water, on their skin, and just a few clouds in the sky of the rainbow. And that just draws the eye through the scene. The eye is drawn to light, and I just felt that naturally where the light was falling was just exactly where I wanted it to. So I didn't mind leaving the photo a bit darker and just letting the natural light take care of the rest. So I like that mood.
Yeah, being that dark, I feel like it made it a lot more contrasty as well.
Yeah.
Like brought out a lot of the natural contrast in the scene.
I know what you mean, and it looks like that straight back of camera, and you could easily brighten that whole thing in processing and make it look like a happy scene, but it really wasn't that. It was quite chaotic and stormy, rainy, and it was just all happening, and that just reflects that mood that I actually like to photograph anyway, so I'll definitely keep the images like that for sure.
Yeah. There were heaps good shots. So we've got a question here, I believe.
Question time. Thanks everyone for sending questions in. It really makes the show.
Yeah, if you want to send in some questions, you can email it to shootfirstpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right.
Definitely. Or you can contact Will or I on Instagram.
Will or I?
That's
I know. I know that's the correct English.
No, it's my new band name. Will or I.
Will or I. Live. Okay, so Joel Taylor, _.
Oh, he just messaged me the other day, actually.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
No, not... Yeah, he just
stalking
wanted to hang out.
Sweet.
No, I think he's...
Yeah, he's local, actually.
Yeah,
he says he's local,
yeah.
So all good on him.
Yeah.
I like people that aren't afraid to reach out and say hello. I had someone say hello at the cafe. I was having a coffee and this guy was staring at me. Not staring, but I thought he was kind of looking at me, and then he just walked in and asked if I was who I am, and He said, liked my photos, shook
you
my
Will
hand.
or I?
Yeah. He said, am I Cameron Sandercock from Shoot First Questions Later? And I laughed in his face. No, he said hi, and yeah, it was really cool. Anyway, let's get back to Joel. So Joel Taylor, _. By the way, the _, you got to be careful with that on social media, because my first Instagram username before I changed it to boring William _Patino, it used to be _Will _.
Whoa.
Because
I remember that,
actually. The standard underscores were taken. So I used to get features on Instagram, and they would always credit the wrong person. It was some Chinese kid, and he would always get credited for my photos. He was probably just wondering what was going on.
These followers?
Yeah, and he didn't really post photos or anything. He looked like a 9-year-old kid from China or somewhere. But no, anyway, so that was one of the reasons why I eventually changed it. Anyway, back to Joel for the third time. Joel Taylor, _. Hey man, my question would be: do you think pursuing photography as a career in any way ruins your enjoyment and passion of photography? Boom.
Yeah. Another hard-hitting question.
Joel, let me tell you right now, mate, I'm struggling. No, I love that question, and it's something that I definitely thought about so much before photography even became my career, or even I considered it becoming a career. How do I answer this?
Yeah, before Will and I sort of got different jobs, we used to
work on the streets, hustling.
We used to have both of us worked out full-time jobs at the time, and would catch up and have coffee or whatever. And this is
every
one
day
of the things
for way longer than probably we should have.
Anyway, I admit nothing, but this is one of the topics that we discussed a lot.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we were both sort of chasing this full-time photographer dream, and it's something that we contemplated, and we were
I think every
photographer,
hobbyist photographer would probably think about this at some point for sure.
Yeah.
So for me, definitely, like I say, crossed my mind. To answer just straight up quickly, no, it hasn't ruined my passion at all. And if anything, I feel like I'm more passionate now than ever.
Mm.
I love photography so much, and the events that happened this afternoon just brought me so much happiness, just chasing this rainbow, and a bit of anxiety, stuck in traffic, watching a rainbow just burst across the sky. But every single day I'm still waking up an hour before the sunrise, checking the sky. These photos that I shoot locally here, I don't get paid for this. This is still my passion. This is still what I find happiness in and enjoyment. So yeah, definitely becoming a full-time photographer, meaning that sometimes I have to take photos even if I don't want to, whether I'm shooting, for a client, a tourism client, or I need to perhaps, advertise a workshop or something like that. Sure, there's definitely moments where I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily am, maybe loving this as much as if I was solo somewhere doing my own thing. But that's just part and parcel with... It's just a small trade-off, having to photograph a few things here and there that I might not want to. If I happen to be a wedding photographer, just for the sake of being a full-time photographer, then... yeah, I'd absolutely hate that, I think.
Because it's not where your passion
lies. So I really feel very fortunate to be able to still be the photographer I am, take the images I take and share those with people without really compromising at all.
Do you think you know why you've come to this place where you don't really have to make compromises, where potentially some other full-time photographers are making more
I think
compromises?
Basically... because I did ponder this, about ruining the passion for it, I more or less decided that I'll only do it full time if I can enjoy it. And, I always say to people, with painting, you can pick up a paintbrush and you could paint a brick wall or a picket fence, or you could pick up a paintbrush and create a Mona Lisa. There's two sides to painting, or there's many, obviously, but... it can either be used for art or it could be used as just an ordinary tool. And I view photography the same way. A camera to some people is just a tool to them. Say a real estate photographer. It's just, they're not really passionate about it. They just do it. It's just take photos, whatever, get paid, move on. So for me, I always thought if I could make a career out of it, then I'll only pursue it if I'm able to continue making the type of images that I want to do. And at this point in time, that's what I'm able to do. So
so it's like you sort of refused to make compromises in areas where you weren't willing to, which is a risky
risky
move.
And possibly bad business move.
Yeah.
And even to this very day. For example, I was thinking about this today. To grow a social media channel, let's use Instagram for example, that relies a lot on being active, engaging, putting new photos up every single day, and just more or less being on there all the time. That will generate growth. It's just a fact. It's the way the algorithm works. You're just going to reach an audience more and more and more. But for me, I'm refusing to... Especially, I've started a new account, it's a side story, but for my current account, I'm just sick of reposting old photos. And at the moment, I'm not making any new photos. It's probably been a good month since I've shot something new. So I used to post a photo almost every day over the last few years, and it's just slowly tapered off to the point now it's maybe twice a week I'll put a photo up. And even those are still probably old ones as well. And that's bad business. If I want to grow the channel or whatever, then I should be doing it all the time. But I just don't want to. I don't find enjoyment in kind of being a pest or kind of self-promoting so much. Once again, maybe not the smartest move and risky. And I don't know where I'll be in 5 years' time with this attitude. I seriously feel like I'll drive myself insane sometimes. Yeah. But... yeah, it's just the point I'm at now.
So I suppose your way of keeping inspired and keeping happy with photography is you've stayed true to the values that you initially set out.
Deep.
Yeah, well,
but yeah,
that's kind of almost the crux of it in a way.
So true, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Like, as I said before, I just find this freedom in landscapes, and it's really special to me being able to go out and take photos, especially alone or just in remote places. And if I lost that connection and the passion, then I would honestly just rather put the camera down and go pick up some tools again and work another job and just keep photography on the side. And I would not hesitate any time to do that. If I felt like I was losing this love that I have with photography, then I'll do anything to keep it, because it means so much to me. And if it meant I had to work a normal job, in brackets, so be it. I'll do that anytime. I'd rather do that and work a job I don't like than watch my true love, but this thing that's seriously set me free. I got to, I want it for the rest of my life. So I'll do whatever it takes to keep it going. Yeah.
On the flip side of the coin, going back a couple of years to when we used to talk about this before, I think I used to use it as an excuse. I used to think, if it becomes my full-time job, then I won't enjoy it, blah, blah, blah. Like I used to I'm aware of it now, but I wasn't aware of it at the time, but it was like this excuse that ended up holding me back. When people would talk to me about my photography, I would say, it's not a full-time job. I like to keep it fun, but it was sort of just this naivety, I think, looking back.
I used to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I can still remember exact conversations with people saying that, like, nah, it'll ruin it, and I was being sincere. I honestly meant that from the bottom of my heart. I used to say to people, no, I won't live off photography full-time. It's not possible. It'll ruin the passion, and then just things change, and sometimes I don't know. You get to a crossroad, I guess. And there's so many ways it could ruin it, definitely, and I've seen it ruin people's passion for it.
Well, I kind of felt a little bit like the passion was gone last year when it was a bit of a hectic and busy part of my life. Things like I wasn't picking up the camera anymore.
I remember.
So, and that's when I was like, well, I still love this thing, but I
remember that
it
was a good couple of months, and I remember thinking, this is weird, because we met through photography, and it's a common interest we've always had and we've always discussed. And when you weren't really taking photos, I was like, can I imagine being your friend if you're not a photographer? And of course, I obviously could, but I was like, oh, it'd be weird. It's like a whole new person. But you weren't yourself. I'm not going to lie.
No.
There was something about you that just wasn't quite.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting.
The young gentleman that I've come to know and respect.
Yeah, and it's not that like I didn't want to anymore. It's
you just weren't really in a position.
Yeah, I kept making. Well, I'd sort of make excuses again. I suppose like too busy.
The drugs took their toll.
And I suppose that's So when I started picking up the camera again, I was like, well, I do have.
This
time
just
for
sounds so
this.
much deeper. That's why I said the drug reference. It sounds like it's something so deep.
Yeah,
but no, it's true.
Yeah,
and even if it means jumping up at 11 p.m. to get a shot.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose we're both on board with the answer. Maybe that it doesn't ruin your passion if you put yourself in the position where you're still being happy, where it's still bringing you joy, and like
I don't know why this popped into my head, but you could almost liken it to marriage. Some people, you could be dating someone that you think is the one, and then I've heard stories of people saying once we got married, it all went downhill. It's the exact same thing. Like, you obviously... I don't know if I want to go down this road, actually, but... it's probably just getting too deep and irrelevant. But I guess what I'm saying is anything that you love in life and are passionate about, then it's worth fighting for. And in this case, it's a hobby that you love, and if you make it a career, you can still continue loving it and being passionate about it. But you may need to fight a little harder to have that same relationship. And P.S. my marriage is fine. I just don't know. Anyway.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, let's just wrap it now. I need some tissues.
Yeah, well, Joel, I hope that
cheers, Joel. That's an awesome one, man. Joel Taylor, _.
Yeah, at the end of the...
at the end of Taylor. JoelTaylor. _. Respect.
Yeah.
So, next segment, Cameron, which I think we're going to name Make 'em and Break 'em, which is our segment which we started last week on talking about a common rule of photography, or not necessarily a rule, but something that's adhered to quite often.
Yep.
And more or less describing what it is, but also how you don't have to use it, how to break the rule, essentially.
Yeah, sometimes it can be beneficial to break these rules, or just break the mold of how everyone else is doing it. It's always a good practice. It'll help you grow, and that's something that's helped us grow. And
so this week for Make 'em and Break 'em, what are we going to talk about? What's the topic? What's the rule?
We're going to talk about golden hour.
Golden hour.
Everybody loves some golden hour.
So, let's be honest here. I love golden hour.
Love it.
If you don't know what golden hour is, that is, well, this is my definition anyway, more or less the hour or hours surrounding a sunrise or sunset, where the light is obviously low on the horizon, shadows are long and pronounced, the light is soft and literally golden. It's
a beautiful time.
It is. I'm just like, wow, just having flashbacks of all the memories I've had.
And it's our go-to time when we want to photograph something new, isn't it? Like, if we're traveling, we will aim to get somewhere at golden hour.
Let's be here at sunrise. Let's do the sunset here.
So things kind of revolve around golden hour.
Yeah, and if you looked at my photos, especially, I'd say 90% golden hour.
Yeah.
Golden hour, the hour of power.
But we're going to talk about the 10%.
Let's talk about that 10%.
That beautiful, sweet, artistic 10%.
First, before we go there, why is golden hour beneficial?
It's golden.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an hour.
It's an hour long. That's
first of all, it's easier to shoot in because the light is softer. Yeah. Especially portraits. It's just really nice and subtle. And the shadow effect, especially on landscapes, it just creates a lot of depth, a different atmosphere. So it can really add an element of drama and mood. Also, obviously, the colours that you may get in a sunrise or sunset, these are colours that are so momentary and quite rare as well. You know, a real beautiful sunrise or sunset is few and far between. So if you can capture that, then you're capturing something that might not come by literally ever again. The type of textures you can get in the clouds, in the sky at sunrise or sunset are unique in their own right. Whereas, say, a blue sky sunny day at midday, that happens quite a lot.
Yeah, every day.
So we know why golden hour is good, but yeah, about shooting at midday. What are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts on shooting at midday?
Yeah, well, outside of golden hour, basically. How are we breaking this rule?
Well, I don't know. Shooting at midday. Okay, the best photos, the photos I like at midday are ones with plenty of shadows, because they're one good thing about sort of midday. If you're surrounded by buildings, you can get some really harsh, straight shadows.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And you can get a really deep contrast between what's in the shadows and what's in the sunlight.
Those direct, those shadows
so
are real
I suppose,
tight beneath,
Yeah, it's like more, this is, what I'm thinking of mainly here is street photography.
Yeah, that comes to mind.
Yeah,
definitely.
straight away I just think of like black and white, really harsh lines and, interesting compositions. Like you can use those lines for composition for days. So that, I think if we're talking midday, I think that's
a good scenario where you don't need that golden hour to still get something interesting. Yeah. For myself, something that comes to mind for me outside of sunrise, sunset is forests and waterfalls.
Yeah.
A few years ago, it was commonly held that you do not go shoot a waterfall outside of sunrise or sunset, or if it's not overcast, because the light's too harsh. But this day and age, digital cameras can more than easily capture that dynamic range of light. And I've had many fun shoots, and some of my favourite photos have been shot in forests or waterfalls where the sun was higher, not necessarily midday, but, getting mid-morning or mid-afternoon. And the sun's been high enough to filter through the canopy of trees and allow to maybe shoot a sunstar or something like that, and put nice light onto the foreground as well. A few flickers of light coming through, maybe have cascades in a forest or whatnot, it's just not possible at sunrise or sunset because the sun is so low it won't penetrate through the forest.
Yeah, and you could throw on that 10-stop neutral density filter and
throw a ND filter on if you still want to get a slow shutter or something.
Yeah, what's also cool is because there's so much light, because the sun's a bit higher, you can really speed up that shutter speed and still get low ISO and still get a decent aperture. So you're catching waterfalls in a way that we sort of see less often, because the water is like frozen as it's falling with a faster shutter speed, which I think can look really cool.
Which you just, in low light, to do that, you'd have to pump the ISO right up to freeze it. So, and you're right. That's something that I've been seeing pop up a little bit here and there, and I'm liking it. It looks so different to the cliche long exposure waterfall shot, which of course is really nice, but to freeze it just gives it it's kind of weird to see that, because we're so used to seeing the blurred water effect. And you're right, if you're in that the brighter light situation, that opens up that possibility for sure.
And another one that comes to my mind is, you mentioned forests. If there's cloud, like it's overcast and whatnot, but it's still, sort of the sun's been up for a while, you can get some really nice pockets of light coming through the trees. So I'm thinking of portraits here.
Yes.
You get that, it's this, because of the clouds, it's just like this massive softbox for the sun.
Yeah.
And it'll pierce through, certain points of the canopy.
And you'll just have little licks of light on a certain area, with a dark backdrop.
Yeah, it'll be nice and soft though. Like there'll be a nice light
it's
fall off
between it's not that
the subject.
harsh.
If you put the subject in the hole in the canopy, then it'll just be like a really nice little. Definitely.
Another one that kind of comes to mind as well is black and white images, and particularly mountainscapes.
Yes.
Some of my favourite photos of mountains especially have been midday light with a little bit of cloud around.
Classic is Ansel Adams' photo of, I don't know what the peaks are called, but I think it's maybe Half Dome, and he uses the filter,
the red filter on the face of it.
because the sky was blue.
Yeah.
but he's used the red filter and it's just gone completely black.
Yeah, and made the
you
blue
can
sky
do that,
go black.
the digital
Yeah,
equivalent.
that's right. You can do that easily in Photoshop.
Yeah.
You can just select the blues and make them dark, and
In
that
black
blue
and
sky
white,
becomes black. Yeah, really good technique because there's high contrast there, especially with mountains with a blue sky. Convert it to black and white, and the contrast is just insane.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my favourite photos is super similar scenario in New Zealand where it's that exact thing. I've shot a peak, made the sky,
I'm exactly the same. A lot of my mountain ones that are black and white and moody, if you look at the settings, they're like ideal handheld settings. A fast shutter, good f-stop, low ISO, and it seems weird, but it's because, if you looked at the raw file, it's really bright because I shot it around midday, but once you process it, you can make it look like it was done in a lower light situation anyway.
Yeah, and you're still getting all the benefits of the crispness of good settings. Yeah,
and like I said, a little bit of cloud there, that's where you get that nice atmosphere anyway. You're absolutely laughing. So there we go. Golden hour is the hour of power. However, don't be sour if you're in the midday sun like a flower.
We did it.
All right, cut the tape. Cut it. Let's cut that out.
No, we have to end every single podcast now with a rhyme. You've just set the precedence.
That wouldn't be a crime to end on a rhyme, young man. I feel like we're literally losing subscribers right now. I'm going to stop talking.
So rate us 5 stars for rhymes.
Yeah, please.
On iTunes. Leave a review. Good rhymes. But that's pretty much. I feel like we've broken that rule in a way. And that's.
I feel like talking about these rules whenever I'm out taking photos from now on. I'm going to reflect back on these episodes and hear us talking about it, and then I don't know. It's probably going to ruin me. I'll be like hearing my own voice, like giving myself instructions.
Oh, it's a good thing you refuse to listen.
That's right. Make them and break them.
Yeah. Well, no, that's going to do us for today. We're going to start wrapping it up. But yeah, thanks for that question today, Joel. And
cheers,
once
Joel.
again, if you have any questions, you can email shootfirstpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram. What's your handle there?
So William _ just one _ Patino. And
mine is _mugs_game.
So just contact us on there.
Yeah, and we've been getting some good feedback. If you guys have any ideas or anything you want to hear,
as we say, we're still in the infancy here.
Yeah.
Open to ideas.
Yeah.
Even the idea of just cancelling the whole podcast.
No, I refuse. This is a passion.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for episode 4.
See ya.